Alright, we're looking at solving limits analytically, and this particular problem here comes from this section. So we're looking at the limit as x approaches 5 of 1 minus 8x quantity squared over 1 minus 8x. And in this particular problem, we would do a direct substitution by directly just plugging 5 in for x here. So let's see what's going on. So as you can see here, I just plugged 5 directly in, and of course we don't get the 0 over 0, and that means that we're going to get some number, which is 41. But let's take this one step further, and let's say that, for example, x was approaching 1/8. So 1 over 8 here, you'd have 8 times 1 over 8, which is 1, and you'd end up with a 0 in the denominator and a 0 in the numerator, and therefore we'd have some issues then. So we'd need to factor this thing. Let's just take it a one step further if you want to watch this. If not, go on and keep clicking, but this is just in case x approaches 1/8. Alright, so we have the limit as x approaches. Now we're going to assume that x is approaching 1/8. We have 1 minus, now I had a parentheses around this, 8x quantity squared over 1 minus 8x. Now remember, if we plugged in an eighth into this, we'd end up getting 0 over 0. So what we're going to want to do is factor this. Now we can get this more into a standard form, that is where 8x quantity squared minus 1, this might be something you're more familiar with seeing, and then 8x minus 1. Now in order to do this, what we're going to do is factor a negative 1 out of the numerator. Now we demonstrated this in the last problem. We want to rewrite this limit, remember. So we factor a negative 1 out, and we'd have negative 1 plus 8x, whoops, there should be an x in there, squared. And of course we can rewrite this, reorder the terms, so it looks like this up here. But we'd end up doing the same thing in the denominator, factoring out a negative 1, and we end up with the same thing. Alright, like this. Of course we have a negative 1 over a negative 1, and that just becomes a positive 1. So as you can see here, this limit is actually equal to 8x quantity squared minus 1 over 8x minus 1. Now we've already worked one of these problems before. We could actually rewrite this limit as x approaches 8th, and we want to factor the numerator, so we have 8x minus 1 times 8x plus 1 over 8x minus 1. Now of course, that was the whole idea, so we can factor and then actually rewrite this. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and rewrite, and so we have the limit. Notice I keep writing an equal sign here as x approaches an eighth, and of course we can rewrite this as 8x plus 1, and now we finally do the direct substitution. So we have 8 times, we go ahead and directly substitute in for x, and it looks like that this thing is going to end up being 2, the magic number. Anyway, so if we went back to where we started, which was here, so this is actually equal to 2. So we just took this problem a step further, and that is changed up what x was approaching, because this is where normally students have difficulty with. And the trick was factoring out this negative 1, so we get this more in a standard form and see it a little better maybe, and then factor the